Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing more of the Double Down seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which at the start of the match, every card in our deck gets duplicated, and every time we play a unit, we will also play a unit with the same provision cost from our deck. Today we are playing one of the simplest but most effective decks in this event, so let's go give it a look. So today we are playing a Monsters Carapace deck that is one of the simplest archetypes in the game, Relics. Basically, all you do is play Relics, get base power, get boosts, and that's pretty much all there is to it. So start off with, probably prefer to go Selfeater first, and the one difference between what we're going to want to do in this event versus what you would typically do in Standard is, rather than use this guy's order ability and then have more units to get powered up whenever you play a Relics card, instead, you probably want to keep him, I mean, you might press the order ability once, but more often than not, you're probably just going to keep him without using that order ability at all, because otherwise, since you're playing 2 units every turn, you're going to run out of board space very quickly, especially if you're going against Nilfgaard and then putting a lot of spies on your side of the board. Not only does that mean that we have more board space, it also means that we are not reducing the Selfeater's base power at all, so we have some other cards that will bring back cards from our graveyard or get boosted based on the value of the cards in our graveyard, so having a very high base power Selfeater is worth a lot to us for that reason as well. So that's probably the card you want to start off with, and then you'll want to play Witch Apprentice fairly early as well, at least once you get up to Sabbath. Other cards you'll want to play early would be the card that I have no idea how to pronounce. And then with this, you could even use Teleportation to replay it and further increase its base power, and in doing so, perhaps even get another copy of it out from your deck. Then we also have all of the Crones, who gain power based on how many Crones you have played over the course of the match, and because we will have twice as many Crones as usual, and every time you play a Crone, you will likely get a Crone out from your deck, they will increase that power very quickly. The other 7 provision cost card that you might get when you play one of them is the Rat Catcheress, which is another card that gets more powerful when you play more Relics. Then we also have Quacks, which is a nifty card for us to have, because if we play this in the melee row, we will get the other Quacks out from our deck as well, and that will summon out 2 copies, both copies, of the highest provision cost card from our deck, our highest provision unit. And that will typically be Mammuna. So we want to try to keep Mammuna in our deck for this reason, so that Mammuna comes out when we use Quacks. And when we summon Mammuna out, we can then use that order to banish a bronze unit from our graveyard and play a copy of it from our deck. So that is one of the primary reasons why we would like to make sure that something like Selfeater, or the card that I can't pronounce, they have high base power, and that just means more power on Mammuna. It also means when we use that Quacks that we are very likely going to brick one of our opponent's best units, and so if your opponent is, for example, trying to save Geralt Yrden for the very end of the match, then to summon that out without getting them using the deploy ability on it is a huge, huge steal for you. So that is another reason why it's great, and we do have Yrden ourselves, and so this is our second highest provision unit, which means as long as you still have Mammuna in your deck, then you don't have to worry about bricking your own Geralt, but you just need to keep that in mind. Make sure that you don't accidentally shut yourself down by doing that. And similarly to Mammuna, we also have the Incubus, who can get out one of our high base power units from our graveyard. Yes, it'll get one of our opponent's cards out from their graveyard as well, but chances are pretty high that our bronze is going to have a lot more value than their bronze, especially if we do this relatively late on in the round, where they might have an engine that theoretically could be worth more points in a long round, but if you do it at the very end when there's no time for them to boost up whatever engine they may be receiving, you just have that huge point slam, and it doesn't require any additional setup. So that's it from a unit standpoint. That's basically all we're looking for. There is the edge case in which you might need a Slyzard. This is exclusively here to help counter Nilfgaard. If they are flooding your side of the board with a whole bunch of spies, then you can consume them and make sure that you still have board space. Obviously, this is not a Relics, and it doesn't really have much synergy with the rest of our deck outside of that, so for that reason, it is really just here to go against Nilfgaard, and not really for much other reason. So if you aren't going against Nilfgaard, you're going to want to mulligan this in all likelihood. And if we do find ourselves running out of board space, then we have some Bone Talismans that we can use to boost up our entire board, so even if you run out of space, you can still get some value from a card like this. And Clear Skies, which is just a weaker version of that Bone Talisman, and used for the same purpose. And so that's basically the entire deck right there. So like I said, it is about spamming the relics, and in doing so, increasing base power and getting boosts as well. And then, as long as you save your Yrden, and you can potentially even prick your opponent's Yrden with your Quacks, you can also make sure that your opponent doesn't have any big counters against you. So, let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Syndicate here, and they'll go first. Alright, so we can spam our Selfeater, or well, we're actually not going to use its order all that much, but then after that we can spam you two. Double Bone Talisman is probably overkill. We can use Teleportation to replay you, though. I do like that. Let's dump one of you. Thank you. Alright, Tax Collector. Yeah, I mean, they are Congregate. It does really look like they're trying to spawn in a bunch of stuff. Obviously, you tend to take up a lot of space just from the units that you're playing directly in this event, so I'm a little bit surprised to see they chose to go that route. We'll start with Selfeater, and what we will do with it is we'll get the other one out from our deck. It's our only 6 provision cost card, so that was guaranteed. But we will deliberately not use this order ability, or if we do, we'll use it very sparingly, because speaking of taking up a lot of space, that would take up a ton of space, and we can't really afford to do that. So we'll just use them as engines for when we play a relict. So, I mean, we could have put them next to each other and then would have been able to go straight into one of you, but we might just start with one of the Crones instead. I'd prefer to optimize Whispess for the damage, I think, rather than Weavess for the boost. So why don't we start with Weavess, because of course the Crones get stronger the later you play them. And well, we'll get both of them. So again, normally in Standard at least, you would definitely use these order abilities, but if we did in this event, we would run out of space very quickly. And it also helps us to maximize the base power on the Selfeaters, which means probably in a later round when we get them back out with something like Incubus, they could be much more effective. Alright, I mean, those units are now a little more valuable. And you do control Clerics. So, I mean, yes, you are going to spawn in a bunch of stuff. Are they going to tempo pass, though? Because very soon they're going to run out of space entirely. So, now let's go, and we can use you. So I think we should. Put you there. In between the relics. Okay, and in this case, do we have... I mean, if we don't yet have Sabbath, then we may now. Yeah, we definitely do now. Okay, Sacred Flame helps give them boosts when they are going as wide as they are. I still have questions, though, just because there's only so much you can do with this stuff before you run out of space altogether. Okay, and we could Whispess now, which is solid damage at this point at 6. We could get rid of one of these lieutenants, but at this point, I mean, we might just want them to flood themselves. So we could either go with another one of you and increase your base power. Yeah, I mean, it's probably that. Probably is that, to tell you the truth. And, I mean, we could maybe make a case for using some of these Selfeaters, but yes, we'll still hold back for now. I do like the high base power. It'll give us another Pig Witch. So their problem is going to be they can probably only play one more unit, and then it'll fill up their last 2 spots here. Then all their spawning is no more. They can still boost everything with this Sacred Flame, but then they have pretty much capped themselves out. They can't go any further than that, which is another reason why I'm hesitant to break out the Whispess here. Because, yeah, they just have to stop. They won't even use this. So they'll spawn in one more Firesworn Zealot with this Lieutenant Von Hurst here. But I think what we'll do is... I mean, we have several cards we could play here. And still drive past in round 2 if necessary. And take the round 1 win. So... I think we'll just Teleportation on you guys to increase your base power further. And take it from there. Okay, no, admittedly, it's not a great time to have the Incubus out here, because we don't have anything in our graveyard. Granted, it's still going to be enough points. Even after this spawns in, I believe, yes. Because these Pig Witches will get boosted once again, and we're already in the lead. So we'll take the round 1 win. Alright, and we draw to another Pig Witch. Now, let's just be mindful of... Yes, we do still have ones we can get out from our deck here. Yeah, plenty of 5 provision cost cards from our deck. Now, we would like to get 13, 14 base power cards out if we could. That would be very nice. But, again, I mean, Bone Talisman is a good finisher if we run out of board space, but I don't think we need 2 of them. Catcheress, yes, we already have one in hand. We have 3 7 provision cost cards. I think we still have enough 7 provision cost cards in deck that, yeah, that still works. It's not technically a brick. So, I think we can make do there. Now, we did play one more card than our opponent in round 1. Do we have reason to try to bleed them, or at least tempo pass or something like that here? Like, you know, Incubus, get out. I don't know, I mean, Fallen Knight is a 6 provision cost card. It's obviously a very valuable card for them, but we could then get out a Selfeater or you and technically increase your base power further, which is kind of nice. I might do that. Let's get the biggest one out here. And we will proceed to do it again. Yes, this is a form of carryover of sorts. Now, I mean, granted, do we have any any Incubi remaining in our deck after this? That I'm not 100% sure of. But we do still have, hold on. They're presumably, yeah, gonna embrace more spawning here, because we gave them some of their best spawning engines back. But we do still have Mammuna in our deck, and that could banish a Selfeater from our graveyard and get a huge boost and then get these out here. So, I mean, that is still a way to get these guys back. So, I think I guess we'll push a little bit. I mean, yes, tempo-wise, they very much have not caught us. They had to go engines, and we went point slam, but we can kind of further emphasize this. Or we could go Witch Apprentice and get some passive boostage happening as soon as possible. Catcheress even. Yeah. Let's do this. Yeah, the consumption probably not going to be a factor here. I mean, if we ran out of board space, we could use this. It's most useful if you're going against Nilfgaard and you want to get rid of some of the spies that they're flooding your board with. But obviously that's not a factor here. Alright, Geralt to destroy that Selfeater, so that's a little bit unfortunate. Oh, double Geralt. I mean, that makes sense. Getting rid of both Selfeaters, so we certainly bled out some big stuff. I wish, tempo-wise, we had slightly more points now, because then we'd force them to still play one more card. I mean, we could still do some damage here if we were to go double Witch Apprentice. Now, we are not on Sabbath. We'd kind of have to likely play both in this row. Or we could go Catcheress once again and load up this row and try to get up to Sabbath here. It's also an option. So, I think we will do that. I think we will. Or we could Whispess and destroy one of these Fallen Knights before they get too boosted to the point where we can no longer shut them down. That might actually be the best approach here, to slow them down significantly. Let's do that. Destroy you. And, okay. Once again, the consumption's not really a big factor here, but should still get us up to Sabbath, yep, in this range row here, so that's still good news for this Catcheress. And we know they don't have nearly as much tall removal now that we've gotten rid of their base Geralt. And so yeah, they're stuck just trying to go the engine route, and that takes time for them to catch us. And we are continuing to point slam here. So they may, I mean, they're holding their own here. Do they have automatic unit spawning? Technically, no. So we could pass here, and that would force them to at least be back on even cards. And I think a shorter rounds, I mean, in some ways, a short round is nice for us, because less time for them to set up their engines. On the other hand, as we saw in round 1, they can only use their engines so much before they run out of board space, so I think we might still try to go a little bit further here. And I do like the idea of going double Witch Apprentice. Or Witch Apprentice, in this case, plus one of you guys. And this in particular, though, because even if we pass, you'll still get boosted by 2 every turn, so that makes it a little bit harder for them to catch us long term. Okay, Cleric. I don't think is... I mean, yes, there are plenty of Zealots for them to convert, true, but yeah, that's probably too late to get much value out of the Scribe. Yeah, so they'll just go with the boost on it. So now we could pass on this turn, and I think we can make a stronger case for it now because, yes, we're still going to get 2 boosts per turn. It's not a big difference maker, but it does complicate matters a little bit if they try to catch us now, and gets them down to even cards with us in round 3. It's a shorter round 3 in that case. It's easier for us to point slam. We do still have Bone Talisman in hand, though, and, you know, that's not super valuable in a short round 3, but, I mean, is that reason to continue to point slam? Maybe we'll continue to point slam in that case. Okay, and huge damage on this Whispess then. So I think we will, once again, go after their best engine. It's actually their tallest unit right now, or tied for the tallest unit, this Fallen Knight. So I think, yes, it will remain difficult for them to catch us here. But this is probably where we're going to pass. I mean, we do also have Yrden, but that's something we'd like to save for round 3. I mean, if we're going absolutely all in this round, then we could reset their remaining boosting engines. But now their board is full, so they are in the same situation they were in round 1. So, tell you what, we might continue to play here, and the Slyzard is another card that is technically specifically here to be a Nilfgaard counter, so it's not a big factor here. It's obviously a 4-point body, which is saying something, because if we want to keep on playing this round, then it's a way to just inch forward. And I think we will want to do that. It's a couple more units. It's actually our only 4 provision cost units, so we're guaranteed to get another Slyzard, but it means that if we are going to use Bone Talisman next turn, then we can still get a little more value out of that. But what can they do here? Not much. They can convert these Zealots into Footmen to increase their power by 1, but that would have meant you'd want to, do that before you play this, and you can only get 1. Oh no, you still have enough room for one of these guys. Do they still have room in their range row as well? No, their range row is completely full. But the Scribe is range row locked. Technically, you can still use the Tribute ability, but now converting is basically all they can do here. And they're out of coins. So I am not sure they can catch us. I mean, we could pass here. Honestly, well, they might have Desiree. We know they aren't Devotion, so they might have a Bone Talisman as well. So that could be a way they could catch us. So I think we probably should still use our Bone Talisman here. And that makes it a little tougher for them to catch us if they have some ways to still get points, even with a full board. But they can't play anything there, so, I mean, yes, we could, Yrden, and it would set them back significantly. On the other hand, we could pass here and say, if you're trying to save your best finisher for your last play, then, you know, we'll let you do it, and we'll just have card advantage in round 3 in that case. But, no, I suppose maybe we just go all in. Maybe we do just go all in. That's a fairly big priest there. And you guys have all been boosted at least a little bit, so, I mean, it's not amazing value, but it's not bad either. So we can reset you, and then Geralt is our only 11 Persian units, so we get the other one out for our deck, so we reset you as well. And, I mean, yeah, we could. Carapace as well. We kind of just went all in, so I guess we'll do it. But, you know, you could make the case that we should save those just in case they somehow find a way to still pull this off with a comeback. But they can't play anything with that card. Are they saving a big finisher? Or are they stuck? They are stuck. So we'll take the 2-0 win. Alright, so going up against monsters here. And they'll go first. Okay, so we like starting off with Selfeater, so that's certainly a good thing to see in round 1. Which Apprentice, useful as well, and we can use you to get some high base power units as well. Quax is primarily here for Mammuna, so we actually don't really need Mammuna. So I think we keep Geralt in hand, but we dump you. And don't really need the Slyzards here, that's primarily a counter for Nilfgaard, so let's dump one of you. Alright, they'll start with the Apiarian Phantom. And, well, I had assumed that because they're Blood Scent, they're going to be a Vampire's deck. Also, they're using Detloff, so I still think that's probably the case, although, obviously, that's not a Vampire. So, I do think we want to Quack. Assuming they're a Vampire's deck, let's wait to get a little more confirmation first, but they are probably going to have Regis as their finisher, and he is very dependent on staying in their deck and getting a lot of base power upgrades. So the earlier we do that, the weaker we can make that Regis. So we'd like to do that on the early side, yes, but just in case, let's hold off. So let's first get the Selfeaters down here. And we're going to go double range row, because we are probably going to want to go Quack's melee row soon. But waiting for confirmation as to whether they are truly a Vampire deck. I mean, if you're going Blood Scent, surely you are, right? Okay, yeah. That's the confirmation we were looking for. We can also use Carapace to a certain extent to try to slow down their bleed, but it's only 3 charges for that, and I imagine they're going to have a lot more than 3 sources of bleed. So, the downside to Quacks in round 1 is that it means we're getting Mammuna out, and Mammuna in round 1 is not really something we're too fond of either. So we kind of need to weigh that trade-off of, you know, the earlier we do it, the more we're bricking them. On the other hand, we're also kind of bricking ourselves, so we don't have anything in our graveyard at the moment, but maybe we let a Selfeater die? I mean, I'd kind of rather not have a Selfeater die. But, let's use you. I'm deliberately not going to use the Selfeater order ability, because otherwise we're going to run out of space if we do that. So we're just trying to increase their base power as much as possible, and that's also a reason why using something like Mammuna is that much more effective, because by not using this order, we keep their base power as high as possible. Okay, they're gonna... Early Oriana, okay. Can we shut down Oriana? Because I would like to do that. We can. Whispess, potentially, after playing more Crones, could, but we're not there yet. So I think maybe we could Weavess and see if we happen to get... Oh, no, you're already up to 8, though, and it's not changing anytime soon. So I think we'll just continue going for the base power increases here. And let's put at least 1 more unit in this row just to make sure that we maintain Sabbath. But put the other one over here, so we're not completely row stacking. Okay, Arcane is also going to be an engine. Plumber, not amazing, but it is a source of bleed. And again, as I said, they obviously, yes, they are absolutely a Vampire's deck. We could prevent some units from receiving bleed, but trying to see if there might be some higher value cards for us to save that for in the future. Also, if something does die, that'd actually be kind of nice, because then suddenly we feel much better about using Quacks into Mammuna. So, what if we go Weavess now, I think? And also Incubus. But, to get the card from our graveyard. Well, let's go Weavess here. And give a boost. Yes, to, One of the Witch Apprentices. And now Whispess is damaged. This is the card that I wanted for us to power up a little bit more first, but I guess we can get rid of that Necrorat, which is not bad. So those are pretty important pieces to what they're trying to set up here. I'm curious to see, though, with their damage and not quite as aggressive boosting versus our base power and boosting, what wins out. And now they break out the Defender, but we at least got rid of one of those Necrorats first. And now this Whispess is up to 6 points of damage, which I'm not really sure we have much ability to get good value out of. I mean, yes, we can get rid of this Arcane. It's not amazing, but it is technically an engine, so that is saying something, destroying it. Alternatively, we could Teleportation to replay you. We could deliberately wait until you've taken a bunch of bleed damage, just go, well, we don't care. We're going to avoid all of it by replaying you and get higher base power in the process. So that's an option as well. And we might be fast approaching that, to be honest. It's either that or it's Whispess. And, I mean, I suppose get rid of one of their engines as quickly as possible, right? So I like trying to save Whispess as our last Crone if we can, because that damage is really useful. Would have liked to have seen Catcheress earlier than this, I think. Because, not a lot of time to increase her base power in that case. Alright, another Plumbered is not great. Alright, and so still no units in our graveyard, unfortunately. I think we're going to have to go for maybe a round 2 Quacks if we're going for a push. But let's use Teleportation here on you, because you've taken all your bleed damage, or at least all the damage from the bleed that you've been given thus far. And then boost you up further, and that'll get another one out from our deck. And with that, I mean, put it anywhere, really. But now things start to get considerably more awkward if we need to play further here. Okay, and they go Alp. Another Necrorat. Let's see where this leaves everyone. Ooh, okay, don't like that they're spawning in here because it's close. Almost seemed like, I mean, yeah, that boost on Oriana was probably going to be enough for them to still have more points than us, even if we pass here. We're going to take a lot of bleed damage, obviously. But we still have 6 boosts from these Witch Apprentices. Quacks or not Quacks. I mean, we could even Geralt them in this round. But very much rather not do. Incubus is not really doing anything. Or, oh, in fact, it gives them a unit and does not give us a unit, which is pretty painful. So, please destroy one of our units already. Please do that. I might do this, though. I might actually do this. Let's go range roam. What I'm going to do is... No, don't give us another one. Okay, fortunately, yeah, it actually... When we don't have any in our graveyard, it does not force us to give them a card. It's going to say we go range roam that way. You know, we try to give them a Necrat in the range row where it can't really do anything. So as I was saying, yes, we are certainly now at the point where playing further is getting awkward. But I think the same could be said for them, because these are not particularly good cards that they have remaining. The rows are more flooded than ours are. They only have one more spot left in their range row. So, if that's any consolation... That is maybe a sign that they can't go much further than this. I mean... Quacks, I mean, we want them to have room in their melee row so we can brick the Regis. We actually... I mean, yes, there's something to be said for using Quacks in their row is full, but I don't really think that's all that helpful here. So... I guess Slyzard enough. It's a card that we would just rather mulligan, and not play this round and mulligan, but we play it here... And they don't play anything on their next turn. We have enough points. Possibly, if we go with a leader ability charge here as well, it's not a relic, and it is the only 4 provision cost card in our deck. I think we're gonna have to. I think we kind of just force ourselves into playing Yrden in this round. Tell you the truth, because I don't think this leader ability charges are gonna be enough here. The damage from the bleed, it drops us below them at the moment. Even if they pass here, Oriana is the big factor. She's still getting a pretty sizable boost. Yeah, if we used all leader ability charges, we would have been... Technically, yeah, we could have actually passed. Well, we have the boosts on you guys, the damage from the bleed, I think it would have been enough. But alas, I did not do all the mental math, obviously. So we have forced ourselves into waxing or Yrdening. Both of which are humongous commitments that I really did not want to have to make. Yeah, and it's not enough from these guys alone. Yeah, I think it kind of has to be. I hate it. I hate it. If we took the time to do the math, we could have found out that we actually would have been fine there with spamming leader ability charges, and we would have not had to play the Yrden. So for everyone who goes, Lids, why do you take so long to take your turns? That's why you do it. That's why you do it, so you don't have to do this. I mean, we still win round 1, but at what cost? All right, we might even push for a 2-0 here, because I think short rounds favor us with our point slams, and we can brick their Regis still with Quacks, because the longer we wait, the more effective it becomes. Let's get rid of Teleportation, get rid of the Slyzard. Well, I know you couldn't see it, but I cringed when we drew it to Mammuna, because that was going to be our Quacks target. It does now mean that we're getting something else from Quacks. It's not Mammuna. Geralt's Yrden would normally be our second highest target, so we've already played him, so we're at least not breaking our Geralt. But I think it means it's going to be a Crone of some variety, which means we're losing deploy abilities on them, or maybe Catcheress would probably be ideal. But, okay, I mean, I think we are possibly doing it on this turn, though, just to brick their Regis. Oh, right, it is, well, I mean, it does brick the Regis. It's getting our first Mammuna out, though. There's Catcheress. Unseen Elder, this... Okay, so they have a Regis in hand. They have Unseen Elder, obviously. Now we get this Selfeater to boost us up, and we do this. So the problem is, yeah, obviously, as I said, we did not want to draw into Mammuna. So either I did Quack's first turn to maximize the brickageness on this Regis, but by doing it when we had one Mammuna in hand and one in our deck, it means we got one Mammuna out on the board and the other one remains in our hand. So when we play this Mammuna, we're not getting any other Mammunas out, which is unfortunate. So that is not ideal. But, I mean, was that worth then going Mammuna first turn? Maybe. Maybe. That would have been better. Would have meant they got one more turn to boost up Regis. We probably could have lived with that. But now, I mean, obviously they're going pretty aggressively here. We could pass and say, well, I mean, but we know they still have one Regis. So we're in a similar case here where we've bricked one of their best cards and we've sort of bricked one of our own best cards as well. I think we still do this and get you out. And we get... Oh, wait, what? Ah, right, I paid 0 attention to the provision cost. Oh, that was silly of me. That was silly of me. I just looked at you and went, oh, you have a deploy ability that you're not going to get. But no, we should have gone for something that was higher provision cost so that we could get our additional Selfeaters out here. Okay, yeah, they have a Unseen Elder in hand as well. So I think we may break out the Carapaces here. Do they have Devotion? I think they do. Is this Unseen... Both these... We technically should know already. From these Unseen Elders. Also, their Blood Moon did not last very long. Or this one is already over. This one is almost over. So... Technically, we can consume this Quacks and get rid of the Bleed, which is... We are playing this turn. A net benefit. If we go Onero into Onero, we could then... What? Do a proper Incubus the correct way? That might be our best play there. How many Selfeaters do we have? I mean, we could use you. So we still have one in... Yeah, let's do that. It's this into this. Get 2 echoed copies in round 3. In that case, it's Incubus. We'll do it the right way, the correct way this time. We go for one of their bigger cards. Yeah, it's actually going to have to be you. And please go in, but you're not going to go in between stuff. I waited too long, and I also didn't have time to do this. It's not ideal. It's definitely not ideal. I mean, you know what I was trying to do. I was trying to put this in between relics, but we ran out of time. I was trying to consume this quacks, but we ran out of time. But, I mean, we definitely have better tempo. They definitely have better engines. In a short round, that may still be enough for us to win out here. But they do have one more card than we do, and this is only going to play a single Mammuna. So it's not perfect by any means. Also said that we should do this. I mean, yeah. So let's... We'll go Mammuna first. Use you. You get you. Play the other one out here. And then let's put leader ability charges on... I mean, if they have... They don't have Yrden. We've established they have Devotion. So was it perfectly played? No, definitely not. But did we have a general idea of what we wanted to do here and kind of go out and do it? Emphasis on the kind of, yeah. And those 4 provision cost cards are not going to be a huge factor here. They are in need of something big to finish here. And we know their last card is Regis, actually. And we know they're only going to play 1 copy of it. Yes, his base power will be a little bit higher than this 10, but not much higher. It will take a lot of bleed damage, though. Is it enough for them? I don't think it will be. We'll have a couple of orders on the Detlofs. We're about to find out here. It is 14 on that Regis. But there you have it. It's not enough. They can't catch us. We'll take the win. So there's a look at a Monsters Relics deck for the new Double Down seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.